Hey guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about my setup here at the house regarding future plans for solar, EV, that kind of stuff. I'm sort of taking baby steps towards that. I live here in Texas, and last year, at the beginning of the year, we had a really bad cold front that went through, and it basically knocked out the grid for like a week. And so we didn't have any power for over a week, and it was pretty spotty. Um, and so this year, I want to be a little bit better prepared just in case something like that happens again. You never know. So wanted to do a couple of baby steps towards that. I mean, the ideal for me in the future would be just have lots of PV solar on the roof and be able to power pretty much the whole house and power an EV if I got an EV in the future. But that would be very expensive. So I'm just taking baby steps. The first step I took recently was hiring an electrician to do a disconnect where it can switch from the grid to a generator. So a transfer switch, I guess is the right term. So I had him install that, and at the same time I asked him to also hook up a EV outlet. So it basically consists of an input for the solar generator or for a generator of some sort, and then there's an output for the EV, so I can charge the EV. So it's pretty much just a transfer switch and a couple outlets at the end of the day. And took the electrician basically a day to do it, a little bit less. And he ordered the parts ahead of time, so he already had everything and just did it within a few hours. And so I'll show that here coming up, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what the possibilities were for that. So the first step is just basically getting a transfer switch, and then once I have the transfer switch, I can switch over from the grid to either a traditional gas generator or it could be a solar generator, basically from batteries and an inverter hooking it up. So once I have that transfer switch, the second step was basically to get a generator, which I've already gotten, and I got the 3400 watt generator, which is just enough to power the 120 loads, although not all at the same time. Still have to be managed somewhat, since things like the microwave are 1800 watts. And then I've got two blower units for the heating, because it's a gas heater. And each of the blower units is about 400 watts. So I could run the heat in the winter plus a microwave, or instead of the microwave, it could be the washing machine or dishwasher, things like that. But 3400 watts is enough to pretty much power everything else in the house in terms of lights, fans, computers, refrigerator, anything like that. So it seemed like a big enough unit where it would handle all the 120 loads without being overly huge. And part of the thing with that is at least I could potentially take it with me if I went camping or something like that. If I got an RV in the future, it'd be perfect for that. So it's dual purpose as well. So that was the idea. So one other thing about that was the way my house is wired. All the 120 circuits are on a single panel, sub-panel all by itself. And the 240 volt circuits are on a separate panel. So the electrician was able to just wire the generator input directly to that sub-panel with all the 120 volt connections, and that just makes it easy. So my generator doesn't have to generate 240 volt or anything like that, and it can power the whole sub-panel without worrying about damaging any equipment. So basically it can by using the transfer switch and hooking up a generator to it, I can power the entire house without any extra wires. The only things that it will not power, which are the 240 volt devices are the two air conditioners, the electric dryer, or the stove, and the oven, and the jacuzzi. Other than that, the entire house is ready to go and could be run off of that generator. And then in the future, the next step for me would be to get some sort of battery with inverters and potentially solar on the roof. But that's a lot more expensive. So I just went with the first two steps, which is just the transfer switch and the gas generator. So I'll go ahead and show how that looks. All right, so here's the meter coming into the house, and there's the main panel, and then there's a second panel that was added just for the jacuzzi. And that was what was here before. The electrician hooked up the transfer switch. Then what he did was he added this. This is a transfer switch, which is basically a breaker panel where you switch the breakers to go from one side or the other to power either the generator input, which is what he added here. It's a 50 amp generator input. And then he added this 50 amp output, if I can open it, which is for the future EV. See if I can open this thing. All right, so you can see there, that's a 50 amp output, which could be used for either an RV or an EV or anything like that. And then transfer switch over here. You can see the main power coming in from the meter. You basically just wired it to go in here. And then the generator input, which is from down here, goes in there. And then only one of these can be on at a time. Has sort of the interlock kit going on there. So either the main or the generator input. So the main, again, is from the meter, generator from the generator input, and then this goes out to the main house panel, which is in the garage. It has all the 120 volt circuits in it. So all of these in here are basically 240 volt. Let me open it up. And you can see basically there's one for each AC unit. And then there's a cooktop, and then the sub panel, and then the oven. So you can see all the 220 outlets go here, and then this sub panel is for the jacuzzi, which is right here. And so it made it pretty easy to hook up the transfer switch so that I didn't need any other panels or anything for, like sometimes they put these essential loads or whatever. Didn't have to do anything like that. I'll just have to monitor my power usage to make sure I don't turn on too many things at the same time. But with 3,400 watts on my generator should be plenty, and I can always upgrade the generator to go up to 50 amps, which would handle anything. But I don't foresee needing to do that. So that's pretty much my setup. Maybe in a future video I'll show my generator hooked up and running everything in the house. So for now, that's it for this video.